Welcome to another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakeley. On this week's program, Empower Simcoe has launched a new program to promote equity, diversity, and inclusion, recognizing the changing demographics within the community. We'll find out more. She's a fearless new voice in country music who's appearing on stage this weekend at Kempenfest. We'll meet Bree Taylor. Lots happening in terms of affordable housing in Simcoe County. We'll get an update. And challenging times for colleges in Ontario, including Georgian College. Georgian's President Kevin Weaver tells us how the college is adjusting and how the province may be helping. We get the conversation started after this. This is What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakeley. Adjustments being made at Georgian College as it wrestles with funding issues and lower enrollment due to federal regulations on foreign students. Barrie 360's Ian MacLennan tracked down Georgian President Kevin Weaver to get a handle on how tight things are and what can be done to reverse it.
So, Kevin, the Ontario college system is grappling with a number of challenges, budget-related, government decisions. Just in a nutshell, what is the situation at Georgian College in terms of financial and how this all, it's coming together right now?
Yeah, I think it's you summarized it correctly. A series of challenges and ultimately leading to a shortfall of revenue at Georgian College. And really what drove this is changes to the international student program through IRCC with some federal policy changes, which has seen a drastic decrease in international enrollment in a very short period of time, and hence a pretty rapid fallout of our revenue. And really what that's starting to uncover is something we've certainly been watching as a sector, and that really is the provincial funding model is broken, and we're seeing some signs of good news that the government is willing to revisit that.
Yeah, you're talking about, among other things, funding, but the tuition freeze since 2019?
That's correct. 2019 tuition was reduced by 10%, and it's been frozen ever since. And the funding has also been frozen, and so those two things combined have certainly made the fiscal challenges worse, and obviously the quick fallout of international enrollment and revenue is really what we're dealing with in the short term right now.
And international student enrollment at Georgian College, and I'm talking just about the campuses only at Georgian. What has been the drop year over year? What the latest numbers?
Well, we're projecting by this fall the drop will be about 44%. Just over 3,000 full-time equivalent students, which is quite significant.
I know the Auditor General federally is going to do a review of the international student, not program per se, but just the system itself. And did you see this train coming, so to speak, where were colleges forced to bring in more international students because of the tuition freeze? And because some people might be asking, why so many in the first place?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. For us at Georgian, our focus is really on supporting the labor market in the regions we serve. And so for us, our enrollment strategy for both domestic and international students is to ensure that we have the right threshold of enrollment to support labor market needs. And we've been able to do so over a period of time. To answer your other question, does that help offset some of the challenges with provincial funding? Certainly it did. That was not the sole reason for international recruitment, but certainly it did help mask some of the reduction in provincial funding. But again, for us, it was always focused on labor market. Our focus continues to be, and it is in our new strat plan, on ensuring our programs are aligned with labor market need, supporting our graduates. We've been fortunate to have a high percentage of graduate employment rate for many years, over 25 years, and we typically are at the top of the colleges in Ontario in terms of that employment rate. And so for us, that is and will remain the focus.
Now, I know the OPSU and others have suggested that with these cuts that it's going to be generational and it will impact labor markets, the economy. Do you agree with that?
There definitely will be some impacts. I am concerned on the depth at which some of the immigration policy changes have taken place, particularly the direct impact to colleges, because there is a difference in how the policy plays out for universities and colleges. And so I am worried. There are some fields where we typically have not seen a lot of domestic student interest in studying and going into the workplace, and yet we've had interest from the international market, and those students want to come here, they want to find employment upon graduation, and they want to stay in Canada. And so with that door shut on some of those programs, I'm worried about the impact to the broader labor market in some of those specific areas.
And what areas are you talking about?
Well, let me use one as an example. Tourism and hospitality is, as you know, a significant economic driver and part of the social fabric of Simcoe, Muskoka, Grey, and Bruce, and even down into Dufferin, where we have a presence in all of those areas. And international students right now, under the current policy and the eligibility list, are not able to take those programs and be eligible for a postgraduate work permit. So we are seeing a vast reduction in interest to those programs, and we've actually had to suspend some program intakes in those areas.
Now, some critics, opposition conservatives, argue that the rapid increase in international student admissions has driven up youth unemployment, worsened the housing crisis. Looking at Barrie proper, are those issues fair to point at? I
think doing a direct cause and effect or a direct correlation is unfair. I don't disagree that the entire situation has to be looked at when you're looking at housing supply and affordability, but there's also lots of research to suggest that housing supply and affordability is a larger issue across Canada, and it's not specifically driven by one particular cause. So I think for us at Georgian, again, I can only speak to Georgian and how we manage our enrollment and we manage our ability to support students. We've always looked at it around capacity in our communities, capacity on our college campuses, a capacity to support those students throughout their educational journey and in post-graduation as they're looking for jobs. And so that will continue to be our focus.
And you have hinted, Kevin, the Toronto Star recently reported about a possibility the government, Ontario, would be looking at a review of the tuition freeze. A spokesperson for the colleges and universities minister recently has described the funding to colleges as unprecedented amounts in the last 14 months, $2 billion in new funding on top of the $5 billion put into the sector every year. So just in balancing it here, is that fair what the Ontario government is saying? Are you getting your just desserts, or what's missing?
There definitely has been an infusion of some funding to colleges and universities. That is absolutely true. How that funding has rolled out and the split between colleges and universities and eligibility of, in our case of Georgian, for some of that funding doesn't go to the base operating funding of the college. There are specific funding pockets available to different institutions, and so I can tell you the share of some of those funding envelopes for Georgian has been quite small in light of the drop in revenue we're dealing with, and we've approved a $13 million deficit this year in 25-26. That is forecasted right now to be much larger in 26-27. And so we will need more to ensure we're sustainable, and we'll need more on base operating, and certainly welcome that the government is also interested in talking about and exploring the tuition framework.
Yeah, the budget process I know is ongoing. Are you required, like school boards by law, to balance your books?
We are required to balance our books, and so we are fortunate that we're in a position that we have some surplus in our net restricted assets that offsets the in-year deficit, and that allows us to be able to approve that through the Board of Governors.
And Kevin, the Georgian Bay campus in Collingwood also has been, I would say, closed, or at least things have been frozen there beginning in September. Was that part of a financial decision too?
It was, yes. It is a pause. It's a temporary pause as we work through really an institutional re-collaboration. There's no doubt we have to continue to find financial efficiencies in the organization. As I mentioned, our revenues have fallen very sharply, and we now have to manage our expense side of the operation. And we're hopeful now that the government has started consultation on the funding formula and also looking at tuition, that we'll continue to find some efficiencies, and the government will also look at putting more money into the sector, and we'll find a path forward on financial sustainability. And our intent in the short term, while we're paused, is we're doing a labor market study. Georgian, as I mentioned, has always been focused on the labor market, so we're taking the time to do that labor market study. We're going to look across our entire catchment at labor market, at student demand, at programs we're offering, and we will, when the time is right, have a plan for programming that we think will be successful long term at that campus.
And while as a school you can't, progress has to continue, and you do have a growth in the downtown in Barrie, and that is moving forward?
That is correct. We are moving forward. As you said, we have to continue to innovate, to grow. Our new strategic plan is called Game Changing Innovation. And, it's a competitive landscape. Georgian has always been at the forefront of program innovation, of facilities. And, this is an exciting project. We've got some existing programs moving down there into some new spaces, and we've got some exciting new programs in development. So we have to keep moving forward. We owe it to the communities we serve. We owe it to the labor market and the economy, and we owe it to the students.
I know crystal ball gazing is dangerous, but I'm going to ask you to do some anyway. Where do you hope to be 6 months from now, a year from now, in terms of compared to where you are now in terms of a financial situation, and what your expectations at a federal and provincial level?
Well, I certainly hope the dialogue continues both provincially and federally. So provincially, I would hope, within 6 months to a year that we have an outcome for a revised funding formula that looks to boost the base operating funding for colleges, that we have an agreed upon path forward on the tuition framework. And on the federal side, the ideal outcome is a revisit to the changes made to the international student program. The Premier Ford himself called that out yesterday in his remarks, and I think it's really important that we allow colleges like Georgian to be able to meet the regional labor market need, and our communities and our employers understand that need far greater than the federal government would have that data and knowledge. And so what we're looking for is them to ease the restriction at the program level. So they've introduced the caps on international students, and what is a misconception is the caps have caused the decrease in international student enrollment, and that is not the case. What has caused the decrease is really a damage to brand Canada as a destination country for international students. And for colleges, we went from the ability to recruit across all of our programs to now a very restricted list of programs that we can recruit for. And so those have detrimental effects, and they will have downstream impacts to the labor market and the economy. So within 6 months to a year, if we can accomplish those things, as well as some continued decision-making that we will make as a college to ensure the long-term sustainability of the organization, that will be in a much better position.
Kempenfest returns to the Barrie waterfront this weekend, a cornucopia of arts and crafts and music, too. Up-and-coming country artist Bree Taylor will be among the performers. Our Logan Miller gets us a pre-concert introduction.
Wake up, you're sleeping on a good thing, straight up.
So, tell us a bit about yourself. You are a country artist from Ontario. Fill in the gaps.
Yeah, so I mean, my sound is kind of more leaning country rock the last couple years. We've really been digging into my roots of like my punk rock background. I teach at the School of Rock, so it's just come really naturally to me, and it's part of what I grew up with. But my dad was kind of into the classic rock. And my mom was into the country music, so it kind of just felt the most authentic to kind of start embracing that part of my sound. I'm also a hearing impaired artist, so I like to kind of chat about that and bring a little bit more awareness to it, because it is my day-to-day that I deal with and struggle with and have to manage. And it's something that I feel has become a huge part of my story, because I was actually told having a career in music was almost going to be next to impossible by doctors growing up. So I'm kind of proving the odds wrong, and that's just really all about who I am. And as an artist, it's kind of pulled into a lot of my brand now, and I love bringing more awareness to disabilities and those kinds of things within, you know, the entertainment industry, especially.
You and I like go way back. I mean, way back, like 4 years maybe.
Yeah, that's way back. You can say that.
Yeah, way back, you know. But I've actually never had this conversation with you. How does the hearing impaired aspect play into your like performances and recording music?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, I wear hearing aids on a daily basis, so it helps me with conversations. I wasn't born deaf, so I don't have like a deaf accent. It wasn't something that I really struggled with immensely growing up until I started having decreasing hearing throughout my childhood, and then had some bad surgeries with an ENT at some point, and just things started declining. And I got to my current specialist that I see, and he was just like, you know, I know you want a career in music. It's going to be really tough, but the best thing we can do is get you fitted in hearing aids and try to improve the hearing the best we can. But that has become its own struggle because of like live shows specifically. I find that's the biggest issue. Obviously wearing headphones is really hard in the studio, but like you can kind of manage them, move them around so they don't give feedback on the hearing aids. So that overall is okay. But the live setting, I've really had to work on adapting with in-ear monitors. So especially with a live full band set, I really rely on in-ears.
And for those who don't know, what are in-ears?
In-ears are just they're like earplugs that are for musicians to help you hear yourself, essentially. So the mix of the soundboard puts your vocal from the microphone, instead of in a wedge on the stage, into your ear directly, so you can hear you and you can get a mix of the band versus all the feedback noises that happen on a live stage.
It's a really fascinating aspect that, like, you know, to talk about hearing impairedness and with music, and because it's not something that you would even really put together in your brains. So I think that's really important for other people to hear about it, especially other people who are hearing impaired.
Yeah, and it's really been great to get feedback from people when I do share it during a show or in an interview or anything like that. A lot of people are shocked to hear that, because you wouldn't see it. Like, you don't see my hearing aids.
No, you don't.
My hair covers it. It's like I talk normal. It's not something that I've ever let take over. I really am all about proving the odds wrong and not letting something define me. So for who I am as an artist, it's like I used to just kind of hide it about myself, but I feel like there's more empowerment within that. And bringing more awareness to that community of people. Like, there's so many people walking around day to day with different kinds of disabilities that you can't see. So it's just like, you know, having that grace with people and knowing that, you know, you never know somebody's story or what they're struggling with. Absolutely.
It's been a pretty banner year for you so far. You just came back from Nashville playing at CMA Fest, which is, for those of you who don't know, is a massive festival in Nashville, all over downtown Nashville. It's I forget the thousands of people that are there, but it's a lot of people. And you got to play this year.
I did. Yeah, I actually got a last minute spot. They reached out to me 2 weeks before the festival, and I was completely shocked, not expecting it. And they were like, we have an open spot here, and you are the top of our list. We've been watching you, and, you know, are you available? And I was actually planning to be down there to work on some projects and have some meetings. So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, yes, I'll do it. So it was a kind of a last minute scramble, kind of getting everything together, but they are so organized. They are amazing. Like, the way that everything's run is incredible. I have nothing but positive and amazing things to say about all the team and volunteers that were working CMA Fest, and it was such a blast. It was so much fun, and I was really grateful for the opportunity.
That's one of those shows that artists of all skill level aspire to play at that festival. So to be able to do that, is so cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really shocked, but like grateful. And it was definitely a dream come true milestone moment for me in my career. And yeah, it's one of those stages you always dream of playing. And, you know, the Spotlight stage is great because it's intimate, it's acoustic. The production value that they put into that little stage, though, was incredible. They did such a great job. The sound was awesome.
And there's always so many other Canadians that are down there during CMA Fest. Did anyone come up to you?
Yeah. I ran into so many friends and people from all over Canada that were down there, some playing, some just attending. Actually, Javen Johnson, he's from BC. He's a fiddle player and indie artist. I actually had him play on stage with me because I found out he was in town. I was like, hey, do you want to throw some fiddle on my stuff? Not that I'm big with my music, doesn't have a lot of fiddle, but it added just another layer into the acoustic to fill things in. And
you can have fiddle with rock. That's fine.
Totally. It was great. He rocked it. He did a great job.
You're coming to Barrie soon. For one of our biggest festivals here, for Kempenfest. Tell us about that. Are you looking forward to it?
Definitely looking forward to it. I have not played in Barrie before, so it's going to be my first time getting out that way. I'm really excited for the opportunity. And I've attended Kempenfest as well in the past with friends. I was there last summer, almost the entire weekend with a friend of mine, and it was a lot of fun. And to be on this all-female lineup is so cool and such a great opportunity. Some really great artists on the bill as well. So it's just nice to share the stage with talented females and to see that female support for sure, especially in the country scene. I'm definitely a girl's girl, definitely all about supporting females and women in general, and just genuinely. I feel like there's a place for everyone, especially with women. I feel it's not great that we are always kind of pit against one another and put into competition, because I feel like what's meant for you is meant for you, what's meant for me is meant for me, and every opportunity comes when it's meant to for each individual. And it's just, everyone's doing their own thing, right? Like, let's just embrace that. I feel like every female on this lineup is a little different and unique in that way as well. I know that like I'm going to kind of be a little bit different than the rest of the girls, you know, rocking out up there. But I think that's awesome that there's just so much diversity that we can see. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great fun time.
There's a lane for everyone. I love that.
I love it. Yeah, it's true. We should embrace that.
Your latest single is called Wake Up, Wake Up with an exclamation mark at the end.
Yeah, the exclamation point was very key. It's very punk. So we really wanted that on there.
You've described the track as having a "You Belong With Me" edge with your own kind of bite to it. And I assume that's a Taylor Swift reference, "You Belong With Me."
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. There we go. So what made you want to channel the energy of that song but make it your own?
I kind of went into the right wanting to go in with that idea of writing about all these boys who were really dumb that didn't realize what they had right in front of them when they had the opportunity. Because I've had a lot of guys tell me like, oh, you're like marriage material, but like I'm not ready for that right now. Or you're too, like almost like I'm too good for them. And then there's guys that have just been completely blind to the connection that I've had with them throughout my dating process. And coming out of a relationship, I came out of a really toxic, narcissistic relationship about almost 2 years ago now. And my last single, I Regret You, was all about that. And I feel like it's just, I wanted to do something
a good title.
Thank you. It's very, very angry, and it's a cathartic song for me to sing. It really channels that anger emotion for me, which is great. But yeah, I wanted to kind of do something a little more lighthearted, and I've always loved You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift, and I thought cool to do like a little spin on it where it's like, you're with the wrong person, like when are you going to wake up? And it's funny because my co-writer, Alex Sire, I went to his place and he'd already had the idea with the title Wake Up. He was drinking his morning coffee. He's like, God, I got to wake up for this right. So he had the first couple lines of the chorus ready to go, and it kind of fit in alignment with what I was wanting to write about. And then it just kind of took on a life of its own, and I pulled some lines from stories of different experiences with different people into it, and it's been kind of cool. I know a lot of people are always like wondering and questioning like, oh, who's Brie's songs about? But it's about multiple people. I've been kind of trying to just play that cool because I like to keep the mystery out there. But yeah, it's a really cool punk rock country song, and it's a lot of fun. I love it. It's got a high energy feel.
So you spoke about Alex Sayer and writing with him, and what is your writing process generally like?
So I'm really intentional about my writes. So I've really honed in on working with a lot of really great people. Alex and Ryan Sorstad are two people that have really helped me with my voice as a writer and saying what I want to say. And I've written with them together. I've written with them separately, and then them with other people. And it's always a great time. And it's always really lucrative in terms of getting a great song out of it that's authentic. And so I come into my writes with an idea idea with a title, with a story, always a story. There's always stories with a Brie Taylor song. So it's like, hey, I went through this. This is what I want to talk about. This is what we're writing about today. So I'm very intentional. And it's great to be able to have people that you can work with that help bring that to life. And it's always like a good fun. It's almost like a therapy session in a writing session.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're playing Kempenfest this Saturday at 6:40 on August 2nd. We can't wait to see you there. We'll be there all weekend, Barrie 360 and the entire Central Ontario broadcasting team. So we'll definitely have to catch up there, and we'll have to catch up afterwards as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited. Thank you so much for the chat, and we'll see you all there.
Yeah, I'm downless.
Doesn't happen overnight, but it is happening in the county of Simcoe. More affordable housing, many projects over the last 10 years, and more coming to fruition. Mina Fayez-Baguette is the General Manager of Social and Community Services for the county. He provides an update through our Ian MacLennan.
The county has just completed, actually, its 10-year affordable housing strategy. And just a few weeks ago, you did a groundbreaking on Rose Street. Let's talk about that first and what that project means for the people that eventually will be able to access that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a significant first step for the Rose Street development. So Rose Street's going to be a mixed income affordable housing community that offers a community hub space and also co-locates our social services all on one site. It's the largest development that the county of Simcoe has taken on, approximately 220 apartments. And again, it's probably the largest significant for affordable housing that the county has undertaken, with a budget of $220 million approximately.
And when will that project be completed for a move-in?
So it's happening in three stages. Stage one will be the community hub space and parking requirements. That will be hopefully finished in the winter of 2026. So either the late winter of 26 or the early part of 27. Following will probably be the first tower of residential will be completed probably 8 to 10 months after that. So we're looking at probably the late fall or winter season of 27. And then the second tower and the final tower will be finished the year after that. So we're looking at somewhere between the summer of 27 with move-ins happening probably in the fall. The summer of 28 with the move-ins happening probably around the fall of 28.
No, it's always interesting seeing the public comments about affordable housing. I know it's complex, it's not simplistic, and people say, well, we still need more, et cetera, et cetera. The county of Simcoe had an affordable housing strategy, 10 years that wrapped up by, I guess, 2024. You surpassed the target. I think it was 3,250 new affordable housing spaces. How do you arrive at those goals? Give us some examples, because affordable housing is different. The definition, I guess, is different depending on who you are.
Yeah, for the 10-year affordable housing and homelessness prevention strategy, it's a provincial requirement that every system service manager that's tasked with the responsibility of delivering affordable housing for its community and delivering homelessness services for its community, that it has a 10-year plan. That 10-year plan, we know that the solution to addressing homelessness and lack of affordability is creating more housing opportunities. So there's that plan set a goal of creating more housing opportunities in different ways, 2,700 approximately new housing opportunities over 10 years. That was back in 2014, what we believed the need to be at the time. And that results in doing it 3 or 4 different ways. One is creating new housing by developing things like Rose Street. Those are examples of ways you could do it. But we know that we can't just develop our way out of these challenges. So another way is to partner with existing landlords that have existing stock that you don't have to build and wait 3 years for them to become ready for someone to move in, and subsidize the rent in those apartments. So we do rent supplements or rent subsidy programs. And then the third way is to then prevent people from becoming homelessness or prevent us from losing affordable housing units by continuing to maintain the stock we have, intensifying on those lands that we already own, and making sure that we're investing in approaches that allow us to maximize those uses, as well as keeping people housed where they're at by allowing them to have different programs like housing assistance programs and housing retention programs that allow them to stay where they're at.
And could that be include like granny suites, if you like, basement apartments where people don't want to leave their home yet but get the supplemental income?
Yeah, all those programs are included in that 10-year strategy and in that overall goal that we accomplished. So creating in-suites and garden suites. This year, actually, we're taking on a very interesting approach to in-suites. So not only are we trying to engage in the increasing of basement apartments, but we're also looking to pilot 3 modular smaller suites that go in the backyards, like garden suites. And that would be a faster way to create affordable housing. I think our investment in modular housing has been very pronounced in the last 3 or 4 years. I think maybe in the last 30 months or so, we've probably created more modular housing in this county, and probably are leaders now provincially in modular developments.
Now, would that include what exists at the Bar Motel, the former Bar Motel in Essendon, where you had units transformed, I guess, basically into living spaces?
Yeah, we've been able to convert motels into supportive housing programming, and then added on top of it modular developments to intensify the unit count. We did that at Lucy's Place in Barrie, at Tiffin Street, 77 Tiffin Street, Paulus Place, as well as a modular development. We've also used modular residential facilities that were often used by miners or other workers in the West. We brought those and repurposed them into being able to do rapid rehousing programming in it. And then we're now actually breaking ground on our first modular apartment building. So this would be a 3-story building in Collingwood. That would be 30 units with elevators and everything, and it's completely assembled on site, on slab. So these are faster ways to create affordability by making sure that you're rapidly creating opportunities for people to access housing.
Are they all independent living, or is there a transitional component, like which I think Tiffin Street might be?
Yeah, we have supportive housing programs. So both Lucy's and Paula's have on-site support 24/7. Similarly, with our rapid rehousing modular programs, they all have on-site support 24/7. And then Birch Street won't. Like, we're looking at just creating a run-of-the-mill affordable housing mixed income community apartment building, but just doing it faster using modular.
When people aren't in the weeds like you, so they may not be aware of all the initiatives that are going on. Even they're available online at the County of Simcoe. But if people say to you, well, it's not enough, or we need more, how do you respond, or how do you try to explain it? And in a layperson's way.
I mean, I think like we operate our social services in a way that's focused on being data informed. We when someone says it's not enough or we need to do more, what we do is we track everything we're doing and measure it. It's how in our first 10-year plan we knew we've accomplished more than we set out to do, is because we set some targets and then tracked. So we back in 2023 launched in the fall of 23 launched our open.simcoe.ca, and it is the easiest way for a layperson to understand the work we do and the breadth of the work. It has many different open live data sets to tell you how many people stayed in shelter last night, how many people are coming into the shelter system versus leaving the shelter system, how many are being housed. It tells you on childcare services, how many childcare spaces are near me, how many are subsidized at the $10 a day program. How do I get involved? Where are those located? It also gives you data on the growth and population needs of our area. How fast are we growing? What type of growth are we seeing and where? All of those things inform our decision-making on what to do next. Where do we build the next building? Where do we install the next modular facility? Who needs the help? Which population? Should we be focusing on youth or seniors? Last year we had a very pronounced focus on seniors experiencing homelessness and living in shelters. And we were able to end homelessness for people over the age of 55 that were living in shelters. And in the sense that we were able to house close to to 70 people last year that were staying for. So for those 70 people, they got to end their homelessness. It's because we knew that was an overrepresented number because of the data that we were tracking.
How challenging is it, say, compared to a place like the city of Toronto, where you have the urban centers like Barrie, Orillia, Collingwood, but you have a rural component too? Does that play into it?
Yeah, the geography is a bit different, of course, than bigger cities like Toronto that have like maybe more connected transit systems and more accessible systems. But it's not any different than the suburbs of Toronto, where even in Toronto, if you've read the news, they're having struggles trying to create shelters and emergency housing and supportive housing in the suburbs like Etobicoke and Scarborough and North York. So similarly here, I think the urban-rural feel is the same thing. It's a bit easier to find space and opportunity in the urban centers. It's a bit more challenging in the rural centers because, again, how do you get people connected to services that are far away? So one thing we did is we focused on rebooting and revamping our outreach programming and introduced like an assertive outreach program with a call for proposal last year, and we signed the agreement for the provider this year. And really that one is to be a regional service so that it addresses all their geographic needs and the unique differences in those needs, and being able to connect people who are living outside or unconnected to the shelter system and primarily focusing on trying to reduce their time outside or their time living rough in order to get permanently housed. And certainly for those who are unable to engage the shelter system or reach a shelter system.
So with affordable housing, then there just seems to be so many specific needs depending on the individual, and I guess that person's definition of what affordable housing actually is. Mm-hmm. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is fair. Like I think the historic way of defining affordable housing was based on your level of income. And while that worked for many years, I think now you're finding people, what we call the missing middle, who do have income and have enough income to get by each day, but it's the majority of their income is going towards their shelter costs. So for us, what we decided to do is, rather than create one type of affordable housing, a very deep affordability, we're providing in all of our new developments a range of affordability. So someone who does have a job or a single household, a parent in a single parent household who is working one or two jobs can have an opportunity to access more affordability versus someone who's living outside or has no income or no access to income or very little income, and not just trying to build a one-size-fits-all model.
With the economy, inflation, even tariffs impacting affordable housing too in terms of builds, where does the county go from here? What does the next 10 years look like, or what is your hope?
I mean, I think with a lot of the economic uncertainties around us, we know one thing, and we've learned this through many different waves of economic uncertainty over the last 20 or 30 years, is that you have to prepare and assume what today's needs aren't necessarily going to be what the needs will be in 5 or 6 years from now. So for us, we are trying to create our next 10-year strategy to be incredibly more flexible and not put all of the onus on just the county, but start to collaboratively work with the private sector and the nonprofit sector and other ways to partner together to create more affordability and address homelessness. So you'll see some more creative ways, like the Heart of Simcoe, which is the Heart Hub model that we just launched a few weeks after breaking ground on Rose, is the health-based approach that partners with hospitals and mental health and addiction agencies and Indigenous groups and shelter providers and the system. So you're starting to see a variety of approaches that I think will address the variety of needs that we anticipate will constantly be changing.
Like wraparound services that are available?
Absolutely. Lots of different wraparound services for those who get housed. Rapid rehousing programs that focus on life skill building and address, your trauma or your health needs, but also address the skills that you'll need to be able to successfully live independently or successfully be permanently housed.
So affordable housing is for people, for some, yes, it's a roof over my head, but for others, it's, I got the roof over my head, but the job's not finished?
Yeah, I think like, you know, a lot of us that have grown up in this system where the housing first approach was considered to be the best standard or the best practice of how do you help someone end their experience of homelessness. We've learned that handing a key to someone isn't where the celebration is and isn't where the job is done. I think getting the housing is absolutely one success point, but keeping the housing is the more really the true measure of success. So we've been investing in a lot of like after the fact support. How do you teach someone who's lived, you know, precariously for years on things like managing your space and your rent and understanding the rules around your guests and how to make your food and how to take care of your laundry and how to make sure you're still attending all the different appointments you need to attend. So that takes time. And I think the rapid rehousing programs are opportunities for people to be pulled out of the emergency shelter or the experience of homelessness, whether you're outside or in a shelter, and give you 6 months of learning all those skills while still like recovering from the trauma of being homeless, so that when you get the key and you move in, you have a little bit more to work with in terms of a skill set, and then someone's still checking on you because you want that wraparound support for another 18 months before you even have to sign a lease. But here you're housed, you've accomplished housing first, but now you're doing it in a way that gradually gets you to success.
Finally, we'll just wrap up. You can celebrate that you overachieved in terms of your targets, but could you share one story without identifying anybody where it's like, yeah, you know what, it's made a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think like even our modular rapid rehousing facility I can share 2 stories. Like the modular rapid rehousing facility in Collingwood focuses on seniors and provides assisted living. And I remember, we were touring it with a local elected official and some provincial partners. And the day we were touring it, we watched with our own eyes, one of the participants in the program get a phone call, and she was like, I just got my apartment. I'm getting housed. And just seeing that like response of someone who not less than, 60 days ago was in a shelter, fleeing violence and abuse and having a very traumatic experience of losing or being homelessness or without a permanent address for many years, is now getting their own unit. So it did drive home the idea that you can get people supported in a very fast way. The second story is we have a youth rapid rehousing program in Aurelia, and that one had 3 teens who were living together in this facility and were getting along, that they decided to become roommates and share an apartment together at one of our community housing locations. And now they've been living together in a community housing location. So you do get a lot of great success stories just seeing how fast people are moving through the system. And again, like I shared earlier, like we had almost 70 seniors get out of shelters and get out of and come off our by name list who were experiencing homelessness and now are living in retirement living or rapid rehousing programs or permanent placement programs. So I think I think there's lots of success to celebrate. I think for us though is like looking at the data, we know that it's not it's a drop in the bucket compared to some of the more daunting needs the community has to address as well.
And we're not done with Ian just yet. He's also had a chat with Empower Simcoe CEO, Dr. Claudine Cousins, about a new equity, diversity, and inclusion program to give everyone an opportunity to contribute, learn, and grow.
Claudine, Empower Simcoe has launched New Diversity Exchange. It says to foster inclusion, equity, and learning. A lot of words. What is it?
Well, what it is, in simple terms, it really is a centralized resource hub, and it is a way for us to offer to the community in partnership with the EMA, which is the Ethnic Mosaic Alliance, and to the community an opportunity to get practical tools for education, event listings, and just cultural celebrations and best practices. So we know that there are people out there who are trying to understand what equity, diversity, and inclusion means. Also, there are organizations who are just starting that journey of getting their organizations to be a welcoming space for their employees. And there are some organizations who are well on the way, but they're looking for ways to deepen that understanding. And Empower Simcoe has been on that journey for some time, since 2018. So we have created a platform that serves as a centralized hub. And we wanted to open that up to the community to say that we have curated a number of resources, activities, celebrations, and collaborative opportunities that we want to open to the community.
Now, did some individuals or groups come to you, or did Empower Simcoe reach out?
We reached out. We have an advisory council that's made up of individuals that are internal and external to the community, to Empower Simcoe. So when we formed this council, we said, we wanted people who can contribute to helping Empower Simcoe move forward in the EDI space that can help us, that are not just from Empower Simcoe, but are from the community at large. So that advisory council, they're the ones that have been working on this hub, and they're the ones that said, this shouldn't just be for Empower Simcoe and its employees, the people we support and families. It should be for the whole community. So they're the ones that decided that we should push this out into the community, and they reached out to the Ethnic Mosaic Alliance and said to them, we'd love to partner with you to launch this within the community.
Now, there are some key features of the Empower Simcoe Diversity Exchange. Can you highlight a few?
Absolutely. So there are 3 pillars. It's learn, apply, and discover. So under the learn pillar, there's an opportunity to discover a range of resources that help to deepen your understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you can learn about different cultures, the abilities and perspectives, so through articles, videos, and training that build awareness. And under the apply, there is the opportunity for you to try things. So foster inclusion and equity by practical tools and strategies. And then there's the discover. So opportunities to celebrate the richness of the community that we have. We have a variety of diverse individuals within Simcoe County, and the discover area helps to shine a spotlight on various cultural events that are happening across Simcoe County. So it's not just, come and see things that are more static. It's really, how can you grow your own knowledge about, say you want to learn about, the Persian diaspora. You can go in here and learn not only about maybe their history, but you might be able to attend an event that they're having, and there might be some books for your children or for yourselves that can help you to increase your knowledge about the Persian diaspora. So it's learn, apply, and discover.
Well, talking about diversity, as Simcoe County, Barrie, Aurelia continue to grow, we've seen maybe not an explosion, but it's growing in terms of what it offers culturally and from different parts of the world.
Absolutely. We've seen, and we try to be a reflection of what we're seeing in the community. And we know for a fact that Simcoe County has been noted as one of the fastest growing areas in the country. And from a diversity perspective, it is one of the fastest in terms of ethnicity, diversity, and inclusion. So we want to make sure that as our county grows, everyone within the county is also able to grow with it. And the exchange is an opportunity for us to foster that growth and connection across Simcoe County.
So say hypothetically, I've lived in the Barrie area for 50 plus years, and this is nice, but is there something in it that I can take away from it too?
Absolutely. So, you might decide that, you want to learn about, I wonder if Claudine, who came to Canada from Jamaica for a long time. I've known Claudine, say, for 5 years. I didn't realize that Claudine is, a very good cook. Maybe I want to learn to cook something from Jamaica. I've always loved, say, Jamaican food, but I didn't realize that Claudine is very much a closet cook person. She loves to cook, and she loves to cook her ethnic food. You could go on there and find a recipe about food that you can cook from Jamaica, and there might be a cookbook on there, and you could find that on there through the Learn and figure out, opportunities for you to learn how to cook from Jamaica. So yeah, it doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, there's something on there for you. And the great thing is you can also contribute to the exchange. If you have something that you feel that you would love to share with others, you can also send it in or go on our website, empowersimco.ca, and on the diversity exchange, you can go in and submit something that you feel that you'd like to share with others by uploading a file of whatever that is, or submitting the information through the email system that we have on here that shares maybe a recipe, a book that you're reading, an event that's coming up, or there's a workshop or something that will help share some kind of diversity, inclusion, or belonging that's happening across Simcoe County with others. So it really is as good as each of us contribute. So it's not about Empower Simcoe owning the exchange or the Ethnic Mosaic Alliance. It's about all of us in Simcoe County contributing to it.
Now, I don't want an eye roll, and I don't want to politicize, but when we talk foster inclusion, equity, and learning, there may be eye rolls in terms of, well, don't we already do that? So, do we have to separate that? Like, that's not what. I'm just curious of your take on that.
It's a great question. And you know what? We're not separating. The great thing is that we could easily have put the diversity exchange on its own website and, created its own platform, but we've included it on the Empower Simcoe website as a page that's part of what we do. It's, for us, diversity is and should be about what we do, how we do it, and how we live. It would be great if, as you say, isn't this what we do? But the more we think about it, the more we learn that there's so much more for us to teach each other about how we should be with each other. And, if this diversity exchange is one way for us to learn more about each other in order for us to act in a way that you're talking about, the way that we should act, then, Empower Simcoe and the Ethnic Mosaic Alliance is happy to be a small part of helping us to be as, as collective as we can be as a community, as we continue to grow together as opposed to separate. We're not trying to be separate, otherwise, we would have created its own platform. This is within the Empower Simcoe group, and we are trying to say, you are working on building an inclusive organization. You're trying to learn about what inclusivity means, what diversity means, and we're trying to learn about all of the various ethnic groups that are in Simcoe County. There are a lot of them. There are a lot, and people are different. It's a great way for us to learn about each other, but we want to continue to respect the fact that, people are different, but we're trying to be one community, and the only way for us to do that is to respect each other. And Empower Simcoe is trying to just shed a light on all of the diverse richness that we have within Simcoe County.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian, as always, and to first-timer Logan Miller for their contributions, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About, rate it, review it. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and there's our daily Kickstart podcast available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakeley. Hope you'll join us again next week.